if you're not targeting the right type of user for your app, it's going to take you a really long time to build traction with your app, if it even happens. Okay, so if you're new around here, my name is Kristen. I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps. We help business owners and industry experts build custom apps to start their app-based businesses or grow their existing businesses, all without coding. So today we're talking about making sure you're targeting the right user. And even if you think you're already targeting the right user, I want you to watch through this, go along with me and make sure you are pinpointing the exact user you need to be marketing and selling and building your app for, okay, to set yourself up for immediate and long-term success. So you need to target your users at the base level of a 3-tier awareness model. Now, I know that sounds technical, but it's actually really simple. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you here, and we are going to jump over to the whiteboard so we can see what this looks like. So the model that we're talking about today, it looks kind of like this. Excuse my poor drawing skills. Okay. So it's a 3-tier model. All right, now we have users or potential users, rather, who you might be going after in 3 different levels of this model. So at the bottom here, we have users who are in current pain. Okay, now I'm talking about pain that is the result of a problem they are experiencing. And that problem is what your app is solving. Your app is a solution to that problem. So at this lower level, we have prospective or potential users who are in current pain from that problem that you are aiming to solve with your app. And now in this next level here, we have people who are aware of the pain. Okay. So these people, they know of the problem, right? They're aware of the pain that comes from that problem. They might be related to it in some way. It might even be within their business, within their company, within their industry. But they're not actually the ones experiencing the pain directly, okay? They're not actually the ones in the current pain. They just know about the pain and they're aware of it, okay? And then we have people up here who are completely unaware of the pain, which means they are unaware of the problem. Now, you might be asking, why would you ever be marketing or selling your app to people who are unaware? But this happens a lot more often than you would think. And we're going to get into why, and also to see kind of whether or not you actually might be including some of these people within your target market as well, and what you can do about that. Okay, so what do each of these levels look like? Let's go back over this. So down at this lower level, okay, we have your target market. This should be your target market right now. Now, your target market can expand over time and it can climb up this model, okay? But right now, for your MVP, your minimum viable product, or the first initial version of your app that you're gonna be testing and getting feedback on, your target market needs to be in this lower level, the people who are experiencing the current pain, okay? And we're gonna talk about why, but let's keep moving up this model. So right up here, these are people with a connection to the problem. They are aware of the pain, right? They could be colleagues. They could be different departments of companies within an industry, okay? They have a connection to that problem or that pain. And then these people up here, no idea, right? They have no idea of the problem. And again, these people get included in target markets a lot more than you would think. Okay, so oops, let me get my highlighter here. So down at the bottom here, right, we have your target market. Okay, these are the people you need to be marketing to, selling your app to, generating interest with right away. In the middle here, these are the people who are aware, right, but not in pain. Okay, they can come later. And up at the top here, these are people who are really just unaware of the problem. They get included way too often, right, in that initial marketing and sales. So let's talk about that. Why does that happen? Well, because you are providing your users, right, with a solution to a problem they're experiencing, right, uh, your app is going to, it's not so much going to be a sell to get them on board, right? It's going to be more of a conversation or almost more of a revelation for them because they're already aware of the problem. They're in pain. They don't need to be told that they need a solution. They know they already need it, right? You don't really have to sell them to get them on board. You just need to teach them how you can solve that problem for them. Now, let's kind of dive into another area of this. And we're going to look at this like a spectrum that goes up and down this model here. So let me zoom out here just a little bit. So down at the bottom here, let's say this end of the spectrum is the solution. Okay, now what we're going to do is kind of talk about your app using a couple different really common terms. Okay, and these terms, you know, I should put air quotations around them because you can define these terms in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of understanding, you know, the marketing and the selling and how to really make sure you're targeting the right users, we're going to use them in this certain way, and we're going to put them on this spectrum. So we have solutions down at the bottom, and we have ideas up at the top. Okay, so what's the difference? Aren't they one and the same? Well, founders very often market ideas. Okay, now we want to be down on the solution end because the solution end ties up or correlates with those target markets or those users who are in current pain. And the ideas correlate more so with people who they don't really know, you know, they don't really know what the problem is. They're not feeling the pain. They don't know the pain exists. Okay, but a lot of founders market ideas. Now, what happens when you have an idea? Or how do you know if you are in this group? Okay, well, number one, you can't properly identify the problem you're solving in the first place, and you don't know the pain points that you are trying to solve or that your potential users have. Okay, you might be someone who is trying to keep your idea a secret. You're trying to keep it behind closed doors. You don't want to tell anyone about it because you don't want someone else to take your idea. Now, if you think about this in terms of, you know, solving a problem, right? We're creating a solution to solve a problem. Well, you want to be solving a problem that people actually have, right? And if enough people have this problem, and if it's a pressing enough problem to where they need a solution, I promise you, you are not the only person who is thinking of ways to solve that problem, okay? And if that's the case, right, you don't need to keep your app a secret, right? Because people know about the problem. People know it needs a solution. They're aware of the pain points. They're experiencing them. They've tried other solutions before. Other solutions probably exist in some way, right? But yours is different. It solves different pain points, okay? You don't need to keep something like that a secret because it's not a secret, right? It's just not. Ideas, on the other hand, tend to be, you know, they don't have defined problems that they're solving. They don't have defined symptoms or pain points that they're trying to eliminate for people. They might not even have specific people who they're trying to target. Okay, and so founders often try to keep these ideas a secret because no one else has them yet. That's usually not a good sign, right? other founders or other people having similar ideas for solutions is actually a good sign. It means that problem is prevalent, the one you're solving. It means it's needed. There's a market for it. Okay, so ideas, they can be great, and ideas can work, but really you want to pinpoint solutions. Okay, you want to be solving a problem. So that's going to kind of help you figure out what end of the spectrum are you on. Right now, when you have an idea, or when founders have ideas versus solutions, and remember, we're using these terms specific to this context right here, but when founders have ideas, often they don't have a defined target market. They don't have a defined problem that they're solving. They don't have defined pain points that they're eliminating. So when they start marketing and selling their app, they end up targeting people who have no idea of what problem is even being solved, right? Because sometimes there isn't one. And those are people who are up in this top unaware level. And what happens at that point is founders have to teach people why they need the app, why they should be using the app. Now that becomes a really hard sell. It becomes a really hard marketing struggle because you're having to teach people why they should adopt this app that doesn't really solve anything for them, right? If you have a solution, on the other hand, if you have a solution to a very specific problem for people who are in pain because of that problem, experiencing symptoms because of that problem, if you're solving that problem, you're not really selling your app. You don't have to teach them why they need it. They already know exactly why they need your app. And that makes your job so much simpler because all you need to do now is make sure you get that solution right and you can work with them in order to do so. Okay, so when you target the right user, sometimes an otherwise unrealistic app can actually become a mass solution. Okay, this is going to really drive home the power of being on this lower end of the spectrum and making sure that you are providing a solution, right? And what that can do for you. So let's put this in a real life example, or let's talk about a real life example of this. So let's talk about Airbnb. Everybody knows what Airbnb is. So this company, Airbnb, was actually born during a crisis, during a recession. So Airbnb came to be during the financial crisis, the recession in 2008. And what happened was they presented their platform, right, which was very slimmed down and very basic, nothing like it is today, during that time. And a lot of people thought there's no way Airbnb is going to be successful because they couldn't fathom the idea of people renting out their rooms or their homes to complete strangers. It just didn't make sense. Nothing like that existed at that time. And they thought there's no way this is going to be successful. Why would people do that, right? But as we all know, Airbnb became a really massive success over the years. And one of the reasons is because they targeted the right user during that time. Okay, so people had been through a recession. A lot of people were laid off, really similar to what's happening right now. And a lot of people needed some extra money. And so those people, their hosts now, those people were in a lot of pain, and Airbnb was targeted towards those people who needed to solve the problem they were experiencing, which was to be able to generate some more income. Okay, now Airbnb wasn't targeting, during that time, people who wanted to, spend a bunch of money to go traveling and to be able to stay in different places around the world. No, right? Those weren't the users who were experiencing a problem at that time. The users, or the market who was experiencing the problem, were people who needed to generate some extra cash. They wanted to create some sort of a side gig, right? They were in pain, and Airbnb provided a solution for them. Okay, so that market, they weren't just aware of the pain, right? They weren't even in this middle tier, they were in current pain. Okay, so Airbnb, even though some people thought, well, that's never going to work, when targeted toward the right user, it made sense. It made perfect sense. And it wasn't a sell, it was more of a conversation. Hey, look, we have a solution for you, right? So if you market to users on the wrong end of this spectrum, right? Um, if Airbnb had done that, they could have failed. They could have never came to be what we know as Airbnb today. And it's instead, uh, you know, instead of marketing to the wrong people and fulfilling that sort of expectation of them not being a success because people couldn't fathom letting strangers into their home, right? They grew out of a recession. Okay, and you can do the same, right? You can do the exact same thing. uh, you know it doesn't matter what industry your app is for, who your target market is. Really, this can span all industries, all markets. But if you provide a solution, okay, to a problem, to the right people. All right, provide the right solution to solve a problem to the right people, and your marketing, your sales, it can really become simple, less about teaching people why they need your app and more about showing them that you can help solve the problems they are experiencing. Okay, so uh, I hope that helps you. I hope that helps kind of not only shift your forward thinking for your app, but also help you kind of define who you are targeting right now as you create your app. Okay, and if you want help building the core of your app, if you want help coming up with a game plan for your app, we blocked off a handful of times for strategy calls where we can hop on the phone, come up with a roadmap for your app's development, and then talk about whether or not we could help you execute on that. So you can either go to coachingnocodeapps.com/apply to get that started, or you can click a link down below. I'll put a link down there. But again, I hope this is helpful for you for your immediate thought process and your forward planning. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.